that. But we've, for example, supported work done in setting up 4 pioneer counties of children's services committees. And I know that South Dublin is one of those areas and has done tremendous work in this area. We've been instrumental, obviously, in setting up the county childcare committees. Instrumental in supporting a whole range of cross-agency working. And just, if you bear with me for a moment, worrying things are emerging and good things are emerging from the work of the Children's Services Committee, which I think we do need to think about. We have, as I say, 4 Children's Services Committees in operation for some time now. And they're moving them out into the second series of counties. But as I say, important things are emerging from the work, which we do need to think about. Firstly, that there are great opportunities to avoid duplication of effort at county level. It's important that we recognise that. Secondly, that we have opportunities to share data so as to assess core needs in the county and in the community, and that's important. We have an opportunity to generate a focus on priority areas, and I think that has been lacking in Ireland. We've done well at some level in identifying priority areas, but in other ways we've shied away from some of the difficult decisions that required different seriously prioritised needs. We have an opportunity to co-commission or co-provide services. That's the next step, clearly the next stage. We're beginning to get to that. I think it's tremendously exciting. We have the opportunity to utilise shared processes to support better experience for children and their families. And finally, and we're going to have to do this, we're going to have to realign services to provide greater streamlining and synergies. Now that's a very big agenda. And it's an agenda which everybody will welcome. And we have to find ways and expressions and leadership to actually bring the public service in partnership with the community and voluntary sector into that place. And I know that's a space Tony spent many years working in, but we have no choice. We're going to have to move faster, and we're going to have to move much more radically to do this, I believe, over the next number of years. And programs such as this, I think, give us important signposts on how we will do this. So we're moving on, as I say, on the Children's Services Committees, developing a lot of momentum. I mean, ultimately we would like to see county-wide coverage, because there's an enormous opportunity if we focus at county level on what the needs are and what's in place, and join them up and learn from initiatives such as this as part of the toolkit. And the final area I want to touch on this morning is the work that we're doing on the Agenda for Children's Services, which was published in 2007, which is really designed to refocus how government and public service workers and people throughout the country think about policy and implementation in relation to children, focusing on what is really important but often is lost sight of: a commitment to enhancing children's lives and to bring together a better integration and a better focus on evidence. We talked a lot about children this morning, but clearly children live in families, generally speaking. So and I have been quite struck with that. I think there actually hasn't been enough connection between children, individual children, and the support of families in our policy system. I really don't believe that we have. In fact, we have disconnected them in terms of government department responsibilities, and it is one of the things that is high on my agenda to try to make an effort to harmonise the policy across this area, because I think without that we'll always be second best in terms of how we go about doing this. And this is an area that I would identify as high priority. And that's why I know that Archways have been involved in many programs and interventions which actively involve parents, and that's been one of the great strengths and values and richness of the work. I think it's essential that we find a better way of expressing the need to work with children and their families throughout the whole policy spectrum, and we need to be fundamentally aware that the services should support and complement the ways in which families care for their children. And we need to build up trust with families and communities, which is another very big issue if we are to be able to do that. So those are the 4 key, if you like, national themes that we've been working to. And those are some of the sort of concerns and challenges that I think we face collectively. But in the particular role of the Office of the Minister for Children, which is actually very pivotal in bringing together the national government system, I've tried to share with you the sort of concerns that we have and the key levers that we intend to use over the next while. So in conclusion, I'd like to thank you for the invitation. It's been a great pleasure to be here to hopefully get a chance to meet some of you, to listen to what's going on. Clearly we'll be keeping in touch with the programme. We'll be very interested in hearing how it develops and how the outcomes emerge. There is a job to do, I think, to integrate those outcomes with outcomes emerging under other programmes such as the PEIP. That's something we'll be trying to think about, because we do need, I think, to reshape the debate on the future development of policy in relation to children. We need, as a country, to move from, I suppose, a very troubling, worrying discourse in relation to our children to we need to work together, I think, to be able to tell a more positive story about children and young people and their experience of growing up in Ireland. We do many things right in this country. We do some things wrong. And we need, I think, as I say, to shape the debate and the discourse in a more evidenced way so that we actually have a better sense of what we're doing and what our longer term outcomes will be. So on that note, I'm delighted to launch the programme, and thank you for inviting me, as I say, to do that. And I'm delighted to hand over to Dr. Brenna Bry, who's the developer of the Mentoring for Achievement programme. She's the Department Chair of the Department of Clinical Psychology, Graduate School of Applied and Professional Psychology in Rutgers University in New Jersey. Thank you very much.
Can I thank Mary very much for her words and the chords that they struck, particularly how we must work to minimise or to get rid of totally the disconnect between children and families, and recognise that homes and schools and community interventions are all part and parcel of the same thing, which is actually, says he somewhat cleverly, quoting from Brenna's book, I think, which has a title, Reaching Out in Family Therapy, Home-Based School and Community Interventions, which accords exactly with what Mary was talking about. When Aileen and Sean, our research director, went to the Blueprints conference last spring, they came back to the board of Archways and said, there's a programme that we must get and implement in Ireland. And they called it Brenna Bry's programme. And that's how we've talked about it in the intervening months. And it is fantastic. That thanks to support from people like Jim and County Dublin VEC, it's fantastic that we've been able to move so fast, because it was only in March or April, was it, that we made formal contact. We've been able to move to a situation that's actually happening. And we're so pleased that Brenna's here and we'll talk about the programme and about our work. Thank you.